Hello everybody, Venom here, and welcome to a very special episode today. So I just finished recording a very special episode. It's not a let's play, it's a video in which I talk about design. Just because I'm teasing it a bit, I need to say it. No, it's not about Halo, it's about another game that I've played on the channel. So that's why I'm celebrating with a nice scotch. I feel pretty good about this video. I can't wait to start to edit it and to bring it to life. And speaking of wonderful things, guys, a couple of weeks ago, I asked you guys if you had questions. Because, I've always thought that these kinds of videos were cool, like answering questions from you guys, right? The YouTube is amazing for that because it's a platform on which you can be very close to the content creators, right? So you guys ask me questions, I will answer. We're going to have a good time. It's going to be amazing. All right, so I don't know if I will answer all the questions that I had because I don't know how long this will take me. If I don't have enough time to answer all the questions that I received this episode, I will make a second Q&A video. If you didn't have the chance to ask me your question, hey, drop it down in the comments below, and in the second episode or the third one or whatever, how long the series go, I will actually answer. So yeah, shower me with questions, guys. Hell yeah. All right, so first we got Mark Baroudi. I don't know. Sorry, bro. For the Q&A, is there a game, movie, book, or anything that has inspired you when designing in general? Yes, of course. I really like to think that ideas for design can be found anywhere. An example that comes to mind immediately, because I did find it like in the most random place, that was like in the beginning of my career at Ubisoft, like in my first 4 months, right? And I was doing the groceries with my ex-girlfriend, and I was really bored because groceries, fucking groceries, right? I remember I was just like waiting for her to pick like between two brands or something. And I looked up at the ceiling, and the ceiling was like full of pipes and metal beams and everything. And then my mind wandered to the map that I was actually designing at the time. And I was like, oh, there is actually like a lot of wasted space in the upper portion of my level, right? Okay, I just talked for a little bit. I'm going to cut everything because I think I'm going into too much detail. Whatever, I won't go into details, but looking at that ceiling gave me very good ideas for my prototype map. And it's ideas that the team really liked too. I gave my map like another dimension. Inspiration for design, I think, can come from anywhere, if you keep your mind open enough to actually let them in. Is there a certain franchise that you would like to work on at some point? Good question, right? Not really. Like, my favorite franchises are Elder Scrolls and Fallout. So, of course, when I was at school, I was like, oh, imagine working on that. That must be amazing. Now that I'm several years into my career, I don't know if I would like to work on an Elder Scrolls or a Fallout game, to be honest. And the reason for that is that I'd like to keep those titles to play them because I'm such a fan, right? I was a huge fan of the Assassin's Creed franchise, right, growing up. So when I started on Odyssey, I was like, holy shit, I'm working on a big franchise. Like, Assassin's Creed, like, whatever your opinions are on the series, is a huge gaming franchise. Like, everybody knows what it is, right? And like, working on that was very cool, but it also like showed me the other side, and that is the development side. And to be honest, you can find good things and also bad things in every project. And the actual brand has very little effect on negatives and positives. Like the project timeline, the people you're working with, your directors and leads, those have a much more profound impact on your day-to-day work life than the brand, right? So yeah, I'm fumbling around a bit here, but no, not really, to be honest. If a company comes to me and is interested in acquiring my talents, I will definitely think about the games that they have. Like when Gearbox first approached me, well, I'm a huge fan of Borderlands, so I was like, hell yeah. All right, last question from Mark. In your opinion, what is the game with the best level design And which one has the worst? Oh. A game with like phenomenal level design is Dark Souls, the first one. I know like this has been mentioned a lot, but goddamn man, it's really solid. Any game similar to Dark Souls which make you feel like you're part of the world and that the world is connected, that is always very special to me. Because as a player, like, you know that behind the boundaries of a world, there's nothing. Like all the buildings that you see that are outside of the scope of the level, if you turn them 90 degrees, you will see that there's no like collision and no textures in the back and stuff like that. So when you find a connection between two areas that you've been at previously and somehow you see like the world making more sense because these two areas are actual areas that exist and have connections between them, just like in the real world, that is always very, very special. Which one has the worst? I'd say like older games usually tend to have very bad level design. A good example of that is like the early Elder Scrolls games. I'm a huge fan of the series, so like I started with Oblivion, and then I played Skyrim, then I went back to Morrowind, and then I actually went back to Arena, the very first game of the series. That came out in like the early 90s and stuff, and level design back in the early 90s were all about like big sprawling areas like dungeons. They were designed not to guide players through just like most levels are designed nowadays, but they were just more like sprawling corridors and stuff without any rhyme or reason. Everything looks the same. There's no way to reorient yourself. So like a lot of older designs tend to be less and less refined in the area of guiding players through an experience. A lot of the level design in the 90s were kind of shit because level design didn't reach like its maturity yet, if that makes sense. So thanks, Mark, for those questions. All right, next we got Baghdaddy Bro. Baghdaddy. I see. Baghdaddy Bro. Okay. Question: which game level has the best and worst level design in the entire MCC? Okay, that's an easy one, actually. Worst one, library in Halo CE. Remember what I just said about like levels being like just like a row of corridors and rooms that really don't have any rhyme or reason, and then like you repeat them repeatedly, like it's the same fucking thing for like an hour? No, that bad. The best has got to be Halo 3. I think it's the mission The Covenant. So yeah, that one, amazing. You flow through it, you perform a lot of different actions, the map feels rewarding. Everything that you do in that mission is awesome. All right, next we got Joseph Old. Or Old, sorry, I'm butchering your names. Sorry guys, I don't know. 1, do your colleagues know about your YouTube channel? And if so, has it affected you? Yes, some of my colleagues are aware. Some are even subscribed. It doesn't affect me that much still because, to be perfectly honest, my YouTube channel is minuscule at the moment. So it has no impact, really. The only times it impact me is when because I'm working from home now, right? Like, because it's fun times over here. And like, obviously, like I have this pretty badass setup, okay? Like most game devs have like a shitty fucking webcam and a microphone that you can barely hear them through. And here I am with a fucking microphone and like a mixer and like purple ass background. Of course, like every time I get into a Teams meeting with a coworker, they're like, "Are you a fucking streamer or something?" And then I'm like, "Yes, I have a YouTube channel." And then they're like, "Oh, what do you do?" And I'm like, "I game." And then I try to promptly move to another subject because it's weird. You know, it's weird. Also, one time my director asked me one time the game director asked me to do my video intro at the beginning of a meeting, to which I said, "No, that's gonna be so awkward. I'm not gonna do that. Like, I'm not gonna be like, 'Hello, everybody, Venom Lion here.' Like, I'm at work. Like, I'm just chill. I'm like, 'What's up, guys?' Like, I'm not being extra, you know." Number 2, unrelated, but will you open a Patreon page? Patreon is kind of like in the suite of things that make sense if you have a YouTube channel. I do think that if you have a Patreon, you have to offer something to people. And I have nothing to offer you right now. So no, I would like to be able to give something of value to Patreons, right? And I don't know what that would be right now. So for the moment, no. When did you become a teacher? Did any of your students ever find your channel? Yeah, so I became a teacher November of 2019, if I remember that correctly. And I basically taught for 2 semesters. So the first semester that I taught, I was teaching creativity techniques. So how to be creative, how to find ideas, how to generate them. Because like when you're a designer, your job is to find ideas, right? So you need to be able to pump them out. However, like that's not something you can do, right? Like it's not something you can just be like, you press a button in your brain and you're like, ideas, you know, like they need to come to you. It's a weird thing, right? So yeah, I was teaching how to actually generate and how to encourage people to generate ideas, how to find good ideas and stuff like that. And the second semester I was teaching alongside with another teacher applied level design, which was a lot of fun. So yeah, I became a teacher in 2019, stopped in October of 2020 because I was about to die. Did any of your students ever find your channel? Yes, a lot of them are subscribed. So yeah, if some are watching right now, yeah, I stopped teaching, not because of you guys, but because I was about to die. So nothing personal. All right, so next we got Peach Jam. As a level mission designer, what kind of job skills do you need and use, such as coding or modeling, etc.? Okay, so that is actually a good one, right? And I actually have a video planned in which I will go in detail about the differences between level design and mission design, because it's weird, right? I say I'm a level designer, and on my paychecks, that is my official title, level designer. I'm not like a mission designer, you know, even though I am. I am doing mission design. I do level design sometimes. It's a weird subject, and that video will help in, you know, making heads and tails of that whole confusing situation. So the skills that I need to use personally as more of a mission designer is visual scripting, coding. I can do it. I can code in C#. I learned it to work in Unity. Actually, the prototype that I'm going to show you guys once I reach 2K subs is actually made entirely by myself, coding wise and everything. And that's basically it. There is a lot of soft skills that you need to use when you're a designer, though. I don't really model anything. Like gray cubes are enough for me to just like, you know, state my intentions to people. Also, like I use rendering text to be like, statue badass here. And it's a fucking cube and like people understand, you know. But there's actually like a lot of soft skills that you need to use in the industry to actually be a good teammate. When I say stuff like my job is not to come up with the best idea, but to detect it, that means that I'm the kind of person that can let his ego aside and actually go with another idea than mine if I think it's the best one for the project. So teamwork, trying to involve people, you know, animators, modelers, level artists. When I go to someone and ask something out of them, I always try to give them the opportunity to pour some of their creativity in the design, right? Because like if an artist has a super good idea that clash with my design a bit, maybe there's a way I can modify my design a bit to fit that awesome artistic vision that he has. So then my quest is then elevated. So yeah, like it's a lot of soft skills like that. But yeah, I got into mission design because I was more technical than most designers. So yeah, coding and visual scripting is definitely what I use the most. And also like I'm debugging a lot, like fixing bugs, scripting issues and all that stuff. So that's where my strength is. All right. And lastly, we have, how do you feel about crunch culture? Do you think it's good for the finished product employees? No. Stop. All needs to stop. Fuck that. No, it is really, really toxic. It is shit. I hate it. It is disgusting and it needs to go. So crunch culture, right? I feel like I could make like a fucking whole episode on that, but from my experience, right? Crunch comes from directors or people in leadership positions asking people to redo missions or certain parts of the game, right? Because like usually like when you develop a game, you have your timeline and producers and people that are more like on the producer side and everything, like the ones that, you know, enter the Jira tasks and try to plan like the time and everything. They try to keep you busy as much as possible, but also to make sure that you will actually be able to ship things in time, right? But from my own personal experience, where all of that goes to shit, is when you have a director somewhere that's like, I don't like this part of the game. Like this whole quest line needs to be rewritten. And obviously, if the narrative changes, the mission design has to change. So then like you need to figure out the fuck you're gonna do. Right? And then also there's the other side, which is that shipping dates don't change that much. And I think like a good example that we can see about that is Cyberpunk, right? By the way, I will stop my playthrough. I am sad to say the game is very, very disappointing. I really did not show it that much in my playthroughs, but I don't know. I'm going to leave them the time to fix their bugs and also like maybe implement some of the features that they lied about, you know, just saying. But yeah, like Cyberpunk is a good example, right? The devs were on a death march. So, okay, so you have crunch, right? Which is when you do some overtime to finish a project, which to be honest, like every project that I shipped, almost, I've done some overtime. And overtime, I don't really mind it because like I'm a dumb fuck who works a lot. So working more for my main job or working on YouTube and teaching at the same time and being super fucking busy, I don't really care, obviously. But it's not fun in the fact that there are diminishing returns with it for sure. Humans have a limited productivity meter. That is one of the reasons too why I decided to abandon teaching, right? Even though like I had just started. It's because like you need to make choices in your life because you cannot work around the clock. You cannot. Humans aren't built that way. They just won't work. I know. I tried. Doesn't work. Like on some project that I've done some overtime on, I remember like I was doing overtime. I was at my computer fixing bugs, you know, doing good for the project, putting the hours in. And then I was looking like above my computer and I saw like some of my colleagues just standing there and chatting. And of course that happens. It's not because like you have a 15-hour long day that you work 15 hours straight. That doesn't happen. Maybe you've worked like 10 or 12 on those hours, you know, like taking breaks, going to take a coffee. When I was working at Ubisoft, we had paid food if we decided to stay and do some overtime. So like, you know, going there, grabbing your meal, talking to people, blah, blah, blah. And then like, even when you're working, right, like you need to communicate. So you're chatting with a designer, trying to figure out a solution to the problem. Then the conversation switches to like, oh, what did you do last weekend? And then you're like, okay, like I'm not really working right now. And also like, I've been there, right? Like after like a 14-hour day, I'm at my computer at work and I'm like, you know, staring at my screen for 5 minutes straight and then snapping out of it and being like, what the fuck am I doing? Why am I being here working way too much if it doesn't fucking matter because I'm too spent to even work? Crunch culture needs to fucking die. Better management and also release dates needs to be pushed back if needs be. There's a lot of fucking money in the industry. Executives and the suits up on top won't fucking die if the game comes out 6 months later. It's not good for developers. It's not good for consumers because then you have a shit product like Cyberpunk. You know, fuck that. Needs to die. All right, so I haven't gone through all the questions that I had, but don't be alarmed, guys. I have noted them and I will get back to them in the second episode. In the meantime, comment down below other questions. That was really fun and I like answering you guys' questions. I want more. Keep them coming. Oh, also, did you guys see the new graphics that I made for the channel? Pretty good, right? Pretty good. It's such a nice, clean look. A huge thanks to my bro, Luke, who also like helped me really like nailing that vision that I had at the beginning. So thanks a lot to my bro. He's been helping me a lot with the channel and, you know, making my thumbnails and everything. Fucking love that dude. He's awesome. Link to his Twitter down below. And on that note, guys, I will see you in the next episode of answering your questions. So I want more. Have a good one.